More rewards, more savings. With American Express Business Gold, earn up to $395 back in annual statement credits on eligible purchases at select shipping, food delivery, and retail subscription merchants. Enjoy the benefits of membership with the Amex Business Gold Card. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold Card. Built for business by American Express.
Finished training for the day? Time to fight post-workout fatigue with Core Power Protein Shakes. They're packed with 26 grams of high-quality protein to build muscle and electrolytes to help hydrate. The nutrition you need to help your body replenish, rebuild, and repair post-workout so you can power on to the next one. Champion your recovery with Core Power. Visit corepower.com to learn more.
It's the Smucker's Uncrustables podcast with your host, Uncrustables. Okay, today's guest is rough around the edges. Please welcome Crust.
Thanks for having me.
Today's topic, he's round with soft, pillowy bread.
Hey.
Filled with delicious PB&J.
Are you talking about yourself?
And you can take him anywhere.
Why'd you invite?
And we are out of time.
Are you really cutting me off?
Uncrustables are the best part of the sandwich. Sorry, Crust.
Hello everyone, I'm Chris Wynn. Welcome to How We're the Podcast, and you join us after the huge blow that all Sunderland fans had to endure following our fantastic win at the City Ground on Saturday, which was of course the fact that we saw us slip out of the Champions League places 24 hours later. But we soldier on, and we can't wait for the upcoming trip to Old Trafford, where, if you believe the rumours, there are one or two issues that we need to hear all about. And to do that, we have another treat for you, as we have someone who is described on his own website as comedian, actor, dog walker, parent, undercover vegan, northern joker. And some of you may know him from the legendary Phoenix Nights, or some of you may have seen him live at the fire station in Sunderland a while back. And if that's not all, despite the fact his character in Phoenix Nights was a City fan, he's also a huge United fan. So we're very excited to welcome Justin Moorhouse. Welcome, Justin.
Thanks very much. Delighted to be here.
Yeah,
Delighted to be here as you prepare to smash us at the weekend to get back into the Champions League spot.
Well, you've started big.
Yeah.
I like to see a little bit of fear in, because we'll get into the record we've got at Old Trafford. But I was just about to say that I saw your podcast with Max Rushton. I was very tempted to introduce you as Mr. Tumble, but I stopped myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I do some of these podcasts every now and then, and you go on them, and I think there's something about sitting in your own house, isn't there? Just at your own desk, at your own computer, where you end up saying things that you shouldn't probably say or talk about. But anyway, delighted to be here. I have, before we start, I have no side with Sunderland. I have no disrespect. I come in peace. Like, if I had to choose you or them, I'd be going for yourselves. That's right. Where I am. You always play that game, don't you? You play that game. Like, if you lived in North London, who would you be? Arsenal, Tottenham.
Yeah.
You know, if you lived in Birmingham, who would you be? Villa or Birmingham? You know, you pick the sides. Yeah. So if I lived in the Northeast, I wouldn't be one of them.
Right. Well, that's good to hear, because there was that whole when City won the title, and Sunderland fans started doing the Poznan, and I wondered if there was any hangover from that.
No, I mean, you could have done that. You could have done that with a picture of my naked mother, but it still wouldn't have been as bad as being as a Newcastle fan, would it? So,
Well, they'll always have the mid-90s where you pip them, and so you can kind of palm them off with all of that, can't you? Yeah. 16 points or whatever it was. But
I feel safe. I feel safe talking about them. It's almost like a safe house, isn't it?
Well, I was going to say about just quickly before we'll kind of get back into the detail of football, but just with United maybe not looking forward to talking about football and stuff. Mm-hmm. We kind of delayed recording today, and I was worried that before our allotted time to start with, Amram might have been manager. And when we kind of recorded, I kept checking just before, and I thought, God,
No,
Is he
he's not
still
going
there?
anywhere. He's not. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think
Right.
he's all right for now.
Right.
So he's got 1 year under his belt. I think there's the payout's too big to sack him.
Right. Well, we'll come back onto that because we'll get back to the football because I want to talk about you before we talk about the football because I was reading that when it all started, you kind of had a day job, and from the sounds of it, it sounded like you just kind of stopped everything to live the dream and completely change direction to become a comedian. So where did it all start?
It started, I was like 29, something like that, and I kind of had an ordinary job. I didn't have a very good job. I was just like working in sales, and I wasn't happy at all. I was unhappy. That's the opposite of being happy, isn't it? And I just thought to myself that, what do I do? You know, I'm 29 years old, I had a 2-year-old kid and a mortgage and everything else, and it was just I just didn't feel fulfilled. I thought, "Was this is it? Is this how it's gonna be forever?" And so I used to go and watch stand-up comedy. I used to love it.
Mm.
So I just thought to myself one day, "How do you become a comedian?" Rang up my local comedy club and they booked me in for an open mic night, and then that happened. So and then I got really, great chances in the first year or 2 about just doing stuff, including getting a part in Phoenix Nights and that. So, yeah, my kind of trajectory was helped really, by time and place and everything else. But, like, like everyone knows that if you, get chances in life, you have to take them. So, luckily and fortunately perhaps, or skillfully, I'll take some credit for it. I managed to get hold of them and make a career out of it, and it's been 25 years now.
Yeah, that takes some guts to just change direction completely like that. But you were talking almost, quarter of a century ago. I mean, was it like that sort of time where you could just do that, but also the parts were there because you had small productions like the likes of Phoenix Nights and things like that, where everything seems a bit more grand with the likes of Netflix and Prime and all that now.
I think that was the golden age of television. I think they were still spending money on programs. And it just, absolutely, I didn't understand the world at all. It wasn't, it wasn't like I didn't become a comedian and think, right, well, how do I get a part in a TV show? That'll be the next stage. It wasn't part of a grand plan. It was, I just bumped into Peter Kay and asked him if I could have an audition. I was quite new to being a stand-up comedian, knew people were having auditions, and I just thought, well, it'd be nice to have an audition, see what it's like. And then I got the part. So, it was 6 weeks work, which, I literally gave up my job for. Like I had a part-time, sort of like not part-time, I had a temporary job whilst I started doing stand-up. And I just thought, well, I don't need to do that now. I'm in a TV show. And then 6 weeks later, I was out of work.
Yeah. Bloody hell. So was that how it happened? You went, you saw it? Did you read about it? Did you know it through word of mouth or?
No, just everybody was, Peter's was on the circuit in Manchester and, bump into people at gigs and things like that. And I just saw him and said, could I have an audition? And he said, yeah, you can, because you're the only person who's not asked me for a part. Everyone else had asked for a part. So, and looking back now, I understand what happened is I went in for the audition. You read some words and then they ask you to do it another way. And then you do it that way. Then they ask you to do it slightly differently. And if you can listen to what they're asking you to do, because we're not actors, at this stage, none of us are actors. We're just performers. And if you can take direction, that's what it's about. They give you a go. So they gave us a go.
Yeah.
And that was it. And it is such a while ago now that I look back on it and it's, those sliding doors moments of what would happen if I hadn't got a part or what, things could have been different. But I'm very grateful for it. Very grateful to have had a small part in something that people love. I sometimes, and I have in the past, felt quite embarrassed talking about it because it, I was a hired gun. You know what I mean? It was a small thing that I did, and I'm very grateful for it. So I don't ever feel like I want to show off about it. But people love it, don't they? So it's nice. Why wouldn't you talk about it? So.
Yeah, well, I was, even my mum, my mum's early 80s, and I was telling her I was going to speak to you, and she was like, "Oh, bloody hell!" 'Cause she loved Phoenix Nights, but I mean, you talked about auditioning and talked about that part. Like, did they kind of work that part in because they thought, well, he's good, we'll get him to play someone like that?
No, it was written, it was all written, and there was the casting for each part. So I think maybe I don't know. I don't want to sound too grand about it, but. Maybe I did fit the part. I don't know.
Well, if you try to describe the part you played, I mean, I've watched
Yeah.
it shed loads, and if somebody says, "Oh, describe that character," I would find it difficult.
I tell a story. Well, I tell a story often about how about the story is about how I had to have a stunt double for and I tell the audience, I say, if you've not seen it, I'll explain. I'm driving a moped, delivering Chinese food from a working men's club, and I'm wearing a kimono and I'm wearing a helmet. I said, and underneath that, I'm dressed as Meatloaf with a white face, but underneath that, I've got a tiger face. And they just wouldn't believe what you're on about. So yeah, it's very strange, but it does feel like a long, it feels like a lifetime ago since we were all there.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of watch it, and you know all the outtakes and things. Because I remember as soon as it was out on DVD, watched the whole thing, you know, umpteen times. But you just get this feeling, and it comes across of people just getting together and having a good laugh while they do it. And you might burst the bubble and say, "Oh, actually, it was boring most of the time." But was it as fun as it actually looked?
It was. Tell you what it was, because we were all a bunch of pals. More or less, we all knew everybody. Most of the people in the show were stand-up comedians, who knew each other from the circuit. So Neil and Dave and Peter wrote it, and they were still on the circuit. And then Toby and Steve Edge in the band, myself and Daniel Kitson in the first series, and Archie, who plays Kenny Senior, and all these people were all kind of knew each other anyway. And also, I was kind of really new in even in that world, so I was kind of enjoying being amongst them. And television takes so long to make. You make a 25-minute television in six days, so you make 4 or 5 minutes a day. It's such a long, drawn out process filming television. There's a lot of hanging around, and when comedians tend to be impetuous and like many of us ADHD, kind of get a bit bored on set and things like that. You start messing about, and we were just having a laugh, really. And luckily, we were filming it at an actual working men's club most of the time, so we could just play snooker and cards and darts, and so we were getting paid to have a laugh with your mates, pop on screen every now and then, but just hang around and play pool and snooker and dart. It was great.
Bloody hell! It sounds like you've gone from your day job to the complete dream job.
It was. I tell you, it was good. It was like the first few weeks and the first few days, like the crew, like they were loving us because we were like fresh and different, and they weren't used to like non-actors, and so we were kind of obviously like a breath of fresh air for them. And after a while, they were like, "Oh, this is so fucking unprofessional. This is like, how many times can you ask the cameraman, do you do weddings, mate?"
I mean, it was unique though, because as you said, it wasn't. Normally for sitcoms, you get people go, "Oh, we'll have that actor to play that part. We'll have that actor to play that part." And I'm sure, I mean, there can't be many things out there where it is just a whole cast of stand-up comedians almost getting together to produce something funny.
Yeah, I mean, when you say it like that, you give the impression that like it's this ensemble kind of idea that we all. But really, we were just, the scripts were written. If you look at there wasn't a lot of improvising. It was very well written, and obviously, I think there's certain little tweaks that people might have done. I mean, I was told what to do. I mean, I was terrible at learning my lines, as you'll know if you've seen the outtakes.
There was the Kid Laird story, wasn't there?
Well, no, it was I genuinely find it fascinating that my worst day at work ever, and that literally was my worst day at work, is now something that people, when they've had a few drinks, will go, should we put it on? Just watch this man crumble as he can't. And the first couple of times I stumble. And what you've got to remember, what you've got to know about this is that this was being filmed at the end of the day, at the end of the week. So it's like a Friday, late on. Everyone was quite fractious. We're filming in the cold because it was at like December time when we were making it. And also, we weren't at the club. That scene in the first series, that room was in Granada TV studios in a warehouse next to the Borrowers set where they filmed the Borrowers, funnily enough. Had some fun doing that as well. And I just started to like stumble and get it wrong. And then from that point on, like if I'd done it wrong a couple of times and got it right, fine. But then people start laughing. And there's so many of us with no discipline, and I was getting more. I can still feel how bright red. I felt, but I could do it now. I know it. I know it off by heart. You know, I used to have a boss like lad when I worked at Walkers. A right piece of work. We'd all booked to go on a Christmas meal. Me and the lads. We booked it. 3-course meal, coffee, cheese board, mince, all in. And when he found out we were going, he wouldn't let us leave early. Well, what did you do? Oh, couldn't do. Didn't go. Cancelled it. So I could just do it now. But on the day, coffee board, cheese board. Oh,
And it was cut in the end, wasn't it? Didn't
and
even use it.
that is the beautifully ironic thing, is that no one ever watched it because it never made it into the actual story. Yeah.
Did people ever throw any kind of lines at you or anything like that? Like, I suppose, well,
I
off
spoke
the top
about
of my
it
head.
on my own podcast the other week. Is I often people will say to me, so you got the tiger face off, and I talked about it at length on my pod and put a little social media clip out, and it might have come across a bit grumpy, but part of me wants to go, fucking yes. I had a wash, mate. It was 25 years ago. The funny thing is, and then people see things in it. And what I like best about it is when people get it wrong, but with authority. So they'll just go, here he is. Here he is. You play Kenny Jr. And I go, no, he wasn't. Do you know what I mean? Oh, I'm the biggest fan of that program. I know everything about it. Kenny Jr. And you think, well, if you did know the program, he was actually called Young Kenny. And then they go, oh, you know him with a lion face. It was a tiger. That's often. But my favourite one is the people, and this has happened on more than a handful of occasions. This has happened 10 times to me since. People have gone, you know what was really clever about that? What was really clever? And I go, what was really clever? They go, it's the way that over the 5 episodes, it just faded. And I thought, it didn't. It really didn't, because we were filming things like from episode 4 at the same time as episode. So it didn't fade. And no. So the first time they put it on, it took 5 minutes. Just put it on. No, not a problem. And then after that, then they had to match it every day, obviously. And so it's like an hour in makeup. Played havoc with my skin, I've got to tell you that.
The magic of television, eh?
Yeah. It was so, like the second series. I mean, the first series was so good and I loved it and I was dead grateful for being in it. And then they wrote the second series. There's no guarantee you're going to be in it. Obviously, I mean, I wasn't not expecting to be in it. I was hopeful I was going to be in it. And then Toby Foster, he'd got the script before me and he changed it so that I was dead, but I just appeared as a ghost. I was like, I could be like the ghost, but actually that turns out that I probably didn't have more to say in the second series, but quite memorable. That's the thing, isn't it?
Because I was going to say, actually, you mentioned the second series. I mean, did it come as a surprise, or were you kind of expecting it all to stop after that second one?
I don't know, really. I mean, I think after the second one, they went on and they did Max and Paddy, which was a bit like, oh, we're not in it. And then we thought it might happen again. But there's a kind of thing about it, a really nice thing that I think that if we'd have done another one and then another one and it had not have been fun and everything else, that might have been sad. But actually, to have been in that thing twice and people love it, if that's the end of the life, then that's great. You've done that thing and it's great, and you can go on and do something else and think about other things. But then about 2015, I think it was, we did some live shows for Comic Relief. And so we all got back together again and did that. And I thought, well, that's the kind of perfect end to it. I mean, it's like 10 years ago now. I'll be honest with you. I'll tell you this. This is not like a world exclusive, but we did like 15 shows or something like that. We had to do an extra one because Ted collapsed and we had to pause one show. And we did all these shows, raised like £5 million profit for Comic Relief. It's like amazing. None of us are going to swim across the channel, are we, or anything like that to raise that money. So we did 2 weeks, like nearly 3 weeks of you gave yourself for that kind of commitment to the thing. And we didn't get paid. Nobody got paid. We didn't get anything. We got fed when we got there, and we got a lift there and a lift back. There was no question of like asking for money or anything else, because we all genuinely thought this is going to go on tour. We all thought we're going to be at the arenas for a week at a time, and it never happened. Which is, to be honest with you, it was disappointing. A few of us thought we were going to do it, and it would have been lovely. I mean, no one ever asked us. There was never any talk of it. It wasn't ever questioned that we were going to do that. But you just looked at the size of the show and thought, this is too big not to go again.
Yeah. Well,
and
you know, it would have sold out. It would have sold like hotcakes, wouldn't it?
Well, it did. You know what I mean? It was people could, I think we could have carried on and carried on. I mean, that, of course, is the draw of Peter. I mean, Peter's, incredibly popular and, quite rightly, he's a unique voice in British comedy and none of us, we're not idiots. We understand that, the reason it's called Peter Kay's Phoenix Nights is because he's, he's the main deal. So, yeah, I mean, that might have been nice. It might have been nice to go on a tour with it, with the lads. But there's always a funny thing. I always feel a little bit awkward about often people try and put little shows on and they'll try and get three of us and call it. And I just think, it's a bit cheap and you don't want to do that. I'm really proud of the program and really glad to, as again, I say it and I always say it, and it sounds a bit weird, but to have had a small part in something so beloved, what a word that is, that, it's great. It's there forever, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, let's say you mentioned that kind of how many episodes there were, and maybe it's because of that it's talked about in the same circles as your Faulty Towers.
Yeah, it's like Mr. Ben, isn't it? There's only about 9 of them or something like that, there's not that many, and people, watched them all and loved them all, and it would be nice to think you could do something as good as that again, but I think it would be hard to find something that would be as special as that.
Yeah. Well, I do think one of the reasons is because I just think that the sitcom is dead, really. And, that was almost, as you said, the golden age, and it came out of that. Because
there is. But then again, there are some amazing stuff. But people always forget that when that was on at the same time as The Office, so The Office and the Phoenix Nights, and they're all in the same sort of time. But, it was amazing times. But there were probably 4 or 5 ones that would have hated that no one talks about, the ones that they don't make anymore. And I still think there are good things happening now and still different voices and things like that. I mean, look at, capturing the public's imagination. Gavin and Stacey, it's like a national institution, isn't it? People, and if it's not for you, I could tell by your face then, it's not for you, that's fine. But this is the thing about comedy. This is really interesting about comedy, is that if we don't like something, instead of us saying we don't like it, we automatically are judges and we automatically will go, it's not funny. And it is funny. It is funny. It's just that we don't find it funny. Comedy is so subjective. Like, I don't dislike, but I'm not a fan of the band Coldplay. They're not my band, okay? But I don't see Coldplay and I go, they're not musical. They don't write good stuff. They do, but not for me. It's not my thing. The constituent parts are all excellent. I like the energy he puts into the show. I think he's a really nice guy. I think he's a wonderful human being. And I think people adore it. And I think, isn't it funny that comedy makes people so angry when they don't like it? Oh, that's not funny. No, that's not funny. You're not allowed to say this. You're not allowed to say that. You can't be this. It's just a weird thing. Everyone's got an opinion. Yeah. And I think it is? Because I think most people think they're funny. Yeah. I think most people think that they're funnier than other people. And they find it, if they don't find it funny, they feel affronted. How dare he? I know people hate my comedy and they don't like me. And I see that because they tell me that on Facebook. They call me a fat ragcon on things like that. Oh yeah. Oh man, it's yeah.
Well, I know for a fact I'm not funny because my kids tell me every single day I'm not funny. But
my kids tell me I'm not funny. Of course they do. Of course they do. You're not supposed to. See, that's the other thing as well. I'm a comedian, but I've still got to do dad gags. Exactly. I've still got to embarrass my kids in public. I still have to pick a receipt up in a restaurant and go, did we break something? I still got to do all the dad gags. Otherwise,
I'm going to remember that. I'm going to write it down.
Oh, it's a classic, that one. When you get it, did we break something?
I think that's a perfect place to have a quick break. We'll be back after these few ads.
Brooks Running reminds us that we're all powered by something. Whether it's the me-time energy of a run after a day at the office, the electrifying energy of your first marathon, or the infectious energy of a group run with your friends. No matter what energy powers you, Brooks has gear specifically designed to unleash it. So lace up and let it out. Let's run there. Visit brooksrunning.com today to learn more.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
This episode is presented by State Farm. Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like expecting the leadership of a team captain on the football field, but getting a sea captain. You wouldn't settle for just anything for your team. Shouldn't it be the same for your insurance? So don't settle for just any insurance when you can go with a leader. State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Welcome back to How We're the Podcast. So we've kind of covered Felix Dyson. Apologies for spending probably a bit too much time on that. But in terms of your stand-up, and you've already mentioned Stockton on Tees. I saw your tour gets back up and running on the 4th, I think it is. But how's it been so far?
It's been good. So what I do now is I write a new hours material every 2 years, and I do that at the Edinburgh Fringe. So you start off, bits of paper, and I'm in that process now. I'm writing a new show, bits of paper, getting on stage. It's really hard because what you're saying is, I think this is funny. What you're saying to an audience is, you start off like going, I think this. Do you think this might be? Is it? Would it be all right if I said this? And the audiences just go, yes or no. Luckily, there's some really nice new material nights that I go to round the Northwest. And so from now, we're recording this in September, nearly October. From now, for the next 4 months, I'll do at least one new material night a week. So I'll go somewhere and do new material once a week. Bits of paper, and then they become routines. I record them all, listen to them all on the way home, listen to them on the way to the next gig, and just kind of try and work that. Because I can't write jokes at home and go, that's done. I have to kind of try it out, and it's very conversational. So I write a new show every 18 months, and then, every 2 years, and then I tour it for about 18 months. So I'm just on the sort of end. I've got another batch of stuff in 2026, and then a brand new show. Which will be up at the Fringe, and the working title for that is Mainly Torso. Because my daughter said, because I was talking about how short I was and how long my legs were, she went, well, to be fair, Dad, you are mainly torso. Made me think of some kind of bug. That's what I was.
So wrote it down. That's the name of the next one.
Exactly. Just a thorax. That's all I am.
Well, if you go to justinmoorhouse.com, you can see all the dates for that. But I was looking in the north and in general, the northeast as well. There's Stockton on Tees on the 4th of October, York at the end of January, Yarm in April, and North Shields in May, which people might be interested in up in Sunderland. But I mean, just on comedy and geography, because I remember being down at uni down south when Phoenix Nights came out, and they just we're talking about before comedy. They just went, I don't get it. When you're kind of touring around, do you find a different reaction to certain things depending on where you are?
You get in the kind of sort of working class cities, in Newcastle, Sunderland, Leeds, Birmingham, Manchester, Liverpool, that kind of London itself, London, in Bristol, you get a similar reaction. You start doing periphery towns around the M25. They're a funny bunch of people. Like the kind of art centres just near a junction of the M25. They all think they're from London, and they're not. They're just really local kind of weirdos. But that's good. And then and then most places are all right. I mean, I've found recently that I'm selling better and going down better in kind of suburbs. As my audience gets older, they become less wanting to go out into the city centre. They always look at a ticket and go, well, I can afford it. I think I might want to see him. He might be funny. But the one-way system and the parking, a Wednesday night in Leeds, is this madness? We'll get happy slapped. I want to bring back happy slapping. So I think I'm getting more and more kind of like doing smaller sort of places and doing little art centres. And I do better in the north than I do down south in terms of numbers. That's the way my reach has gone. My audience is getting older. I mean, selling enough tickets. I make a living doing it, so that's kind of it's okay. And there's something really nice about turning up somewhere, Otley or Selby or these kind of places. I'm doing Pocklington. I did a couple of nights in Pocklington. Just turning up and there's 250 people there. We've all bought tickets to see you because they want to see you, and it's kind of like a little thing. And you if you're all right at comedy, you shouldn't go wrong with the people who bought tickets to see you because they like you.
Mm.
It would be weird to struggle. And then the clubs. I mean, the clubs are different. I mean, I kind of there's some great comedy clubs, and as I sort of do the new material, they become bigger bits, and they'll be good enough then to do at the weekends in comedy clubs. And you've got to do things a load of times. And then I'll be doing places like I'm trying to think in Sunderland. You know what? There's kind of like not much regular comedy goes on in Sunderland. It's a bit of a sort of black hole. There used to be one. There was a great comedy club that opened, and it was in a Toby Carvery upstairs, right? In the middle of like a roundabout on a one-way system.
Oh, in Bonds, I think maybe High Bonds, maybe.
And it was so good. The comedy night was so good, but I don't know why it didn't carry on, which is a bit of a shame. But the Stand in Newcastle is an excellent comedy club. I'm just trying to I'm just going to type Sunderland to find out where. when 2011, that's when I did that.
Yeah.
Gosh, I did a double. I did Newcastle and Sunderland on the same night in 2011, Saturday, the 11th of June.
Bloody hell.
And then you saw me on the 18th of February in 2023,
and
I haven't been there since. And the rest of the stuff in my diary just says ticket applications open. Sunderland versus Manchester United on the 9th of May, I applied for tickets. I've only been to Stadium of Light once. But I enjoyed it. Anyway, we'll talk about that in a bit, won't we?
We'll get into the football now because you're obviously massive United fan, and you can bollock as if I'm wrong.
He says drinking out of his Celtic mug.
Yeah, I nearly mentioned that a while back, but I was trying to, again, you can say if I'm wrong, but I was thinking it would have been maybe Dave Sexton and Ron Atkinson were in charge when you got into United.
Tommy Docherty.
Tommy Docherty, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So my first memory of Man United is 1976 FA Cup final. Against Southampton. They beat us 1-0 with Lurie McManamy. He's one of yours, isn't he?
Yeah.
Lurie McManamy.
Unfortunately, he took us down to third division, didn't he?
Yeah. And we lost. We lost to them 1-0. And I remember going upstairs, and I was so upset. I was lying on my bedroom floor. I was wearing a Jungle Book T-shirt. I remember it. And my brother, who's 2 years younger than me, was on the top bunk, and he pissed on my back. Yeah, I remember lying on the floor and hearing the drumming sound of my brother urinating on my back. That's my first football memory. I was so disappointed that we got.
So you were hooked after that, were you?
That was it. I thought, this is the game for me. Bit of sibling pissing on me, and then the year afterwards. I mean, this is the thing. You talk about United have struggled. Obviously they're struggling now, but this idea that we struggled since the '60s until Fergie came along. We were in cup finals and we were doing things, and we were always there and thereabouts. So it wasn't that much of a struggle. In '77, we beat Liverpool, the famous Scouts Busters team, stopped them winning a treble. '79, we got our arses handed to us by Arsenal 3-2. So Sunderland scored. There's another reference.
Alan Sunderland, yeah. Sunderland.
One of the classic tricky trivia questions, that isn't it?
Yeah.
You go Sunderland, Gap, Villa, and you go fill the gap in, and it's the three scorers, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it was our second bit of glory in the FA Cup final in the '70s. Alan Sunderland.
And then so then I was born into a Man United family. There was like no choice. There was I can't even remember. Everyone's a United fan. My grandparents, my mum, my dad, and brothers, and everybody. And where I grew up, I sort of grew up in a place called Hyde, which is east side of Manchester, and it's famous for some really sad things, really. It's where Harold Shipman's from, and the Moore's murders and all sorts of horrible stuff's going on. But it was kind of a small, commuter town, east side of Manchester, and everyone there was either a United fan or a City fan. It's really 50-50.
Yeah.
Really split down the middle. Most of my pals were United fans, obviously, and then when I was about 12, I started going to the game. My dad never took me. I never had that kind of dad. We genuinely couldn't afford it. There was no chance of that. So I started going to the game with my pals when I was about. So that would have been.
That would have been Ron Atkinson, would it?
Sexton. Ron Atkinson. Ron Atkinson took over in 83, I think, didn't he? Was it? Can't remember.
81. He took over.
81. Sexton went. Sorry, yes, I got Sexton. So Tommy Docherty and then Dave Sexton, who no one really remembers anything about him, but you just know that he was dull. Dull football. Yeah. And then Big Ron was such a glamorous guy. They used to the players used to meet for a pre-match meal at the Grand Hotel on A-Town Street, right near where we get the match bus at 12 o'clock. So yourselves, when you first go to the football, you're down there at 1 o'clock, 2 hours before the game to get in and get your spot on the terraces. And we used to stand outside the hotel where they were clearly going having steak and chips and things like that, weren't they, in the 80s? Hey, Big Ron, and the players would all wave to you. And they were quite in those from 83 to 86, there was swashbuckling sides. They played with wingers and fast football, and it was kind of exciting. And my sort of my first memory of going to Old Trafford is so kind of cliched and the same as everybody's, of climbing the steps and then just peering in, and the grass being greener than anything you'd ever seen, and the shirts and the players being redder than anything, and the smell of the man's fart next to me, and people pissing in the terraces and all that sort of thing. But I fell in love with it, and I kind of quickly became a bit one of an arsehole fan. Not an Arsenal fan, one of them arsehole fans. Where people talk about football, they'll be doing, do you go? Like, if they didn't go, I'm not listening to your opinion, mate. Because we had big crowds then, but you could still get a ticket. You could still queue up and get in. So for me, it was kind of like, I was so like, well, if you can't be arsed going, like with me, with my mates, 2 buses and we get there for 1 o'clock to make sure we get in Stretford End. If you can't be bothered doing that, then you haven't got a right to talk about it. That's how, what a wanker I was about it. And that was all, and in those days, that was because, we weren't like, it wasn't violin poor and everything else, just same as everybody else, not a lot of money going around. It was the 80s. My dad was being made redundant every other week. It was one of that kind of things. There's not a lot of spare cash. So it was all self-funded by myself, paper rounds and a milk job and everything else. And I spent all my money on going watching United. And obviously it was cheaper in them days. It wasn't like of course, it's not like it is. And I tried to get to go to as many away games as I could. I could never afford to go to Wembley. I couldn't justify that when I was 14. I did paper round of £2.40. And my parents, sometimes now I think kids can just ask their parents for a train ticket for this and that sort of thing. I don't even know whether my mum and dad could have afforded it. I just know that I would never have dared ask. I couldn't imagine going, could I have £30 to go to London for the weekend? They'd have gone, what the fuck, are you mental?
Yeah.
So we used to get you, because you'd have to get the programme. I don't know if it was the same at Sunderland, but you have to cut a token out of the programme. You get token sheets and you stick them all in. Then, if you want to go to the derby or you want to go to an FA Cup semi-final or something, queue up with thousands of other people, literally queue. I mean, it's so archaic now when you think about it. And then they put a line through your token so you couldn't use them again. I loved it. One of my favourite things about old school football, it's not that old now, there used to be a thing at United called an LMTB, a league match ticket book. Season ticket could get you to every game, but the league match ticket book was the sort of like every game, and the games were numbered.
Yeah.
So when you arrived at the ground, they'd have a little number on the wall, and you'd have to find a corresponding number, and you'd hand that token in for it. So sometimes I'd go and I didn't have a ticket for the game, and I would end up paying a towel, 20 quid for a seat or something like that, and he just give you. And you didn't know where the seat was because he just give you the thing. And you have to try and find a spot. But my favourite thing was always, and I don't know if there's any I don't know if there's any record of this or there's any qualification of it, but they never used token 13 because it was unlucky.
Oh, all right.
So the 18th game of the season was always the biggest crowd because they would get token 13 and they would fill it in so it looks like an 18 and hand it in. So game 18 was always packed out. I loved it. I loved all that thing now. And I remember because I don't buy programs anymore. Now. If I ever get a program, I never keep it. But I kept all my programs from there. In fact, they're just right behind me now in a drawer here. I can smell them. I can smell them. They stink. They're horrible.
Yeah.
But every now and then I get them out and I read them, and they're like the real snapshots of history, aren't they? They're like, sharp photocopiers. And the local double glazing firm had pitch side hoardings and things. It's just a different world. Because I do a United podcast, and we had Mark Radcliffe on. He was a City fan.
Yeah,
he was great fun. Actually, if you ever get him, he's great. And he talks about Mark and Lard when they were on Radio 1, sponsoring one of the players, like for 250 quid.
Yeah, I remember that page in this program. They always had all the player sponsors in there.
Yeah, we United, we never had that because even then we were like the glamour club. There was still, it was a lot of money knocking about. We never had that kind of local stuff like that. It was. I remember watching Manchester City, and we'd go and watch, the United at Main Road, and to me they were always a little bit more smaller than us because they had that kind of thing. You could sponsor the players' socks for 25 quid and things like that. And look at them now. Look at them now.
I know. Well, I've still got all those books, the kind of season ticket books and everything. I kept all of them, so I've got the spare ones I didn't use. But moving on a bit, I imagine, were you in the stands in the late 80s shouting Fergie out then, I guess?
I don't think I was, to be honest with you. I genuinely, and this is something that's run through post-Fergie, is I've never been one to call for the manager to be sacked.
Yeah.
I've always been super loyal and blindingly optimistic. I always think they're going to turn it round. So when Fergie went, and when Fergie came, remember that first game, and he spoke to the crowd, and it was electric, mate. Honestly, he was like fucking Messiah. He stood on a pitch and he just addressed the fans, and everybody was into him. And it took some time, but what I liked about him was he never flinched. He never showed any weakness. He was, bigger than the club. And then obviously, I mean, you think about it, it's like it took the FA Cup, then the Cup Winners' Cup, and then you could feel that kind of momentum building, and then just, a cavalcade of success. Unbelievable. It just became so meat and drink and so inured to it that failure and not winning the league was like, oh God, we've not won the league for the third time in a row. We'll win it next year. And we did, and that's the way we were, and we were winning doubles and trebles and that. And I think he would probably, and we'd say, if you can be disappointed, is that we probably didn't do as well in Europe as we should have done. And we had some really good teams, and we were a little bit hamstrung with the English player law and things like that, a little bit at that time, because of you sort of like Scottish and Irish and the Welsh players would have the same. And then when he went, no one really needs to talk about the sort of years of Fergie being there because it's all been done, hasn't it? But when he went, and I just think, and my mate always says this, he always says, there's another book to be written about Fergie when the time is right. And I think everyone's itching to write their own story. And I think he probably had his hand on the successor. And you look now and you think, David Moyes. David Moyes is not a Manchester United manager. He was just not a manager, is he? David Moyes is not the man to take over from Fergie.
You don't have to tell a Sunderland fan that.
I know.
He wasn't even the man to take over at Sunderland.
No, what we should have done, and I think history would be different now. Talk about sliding doors. We should have had Mourinho. If Guardiola didn't want it, because he was apparently sounded out for it, if he didn't want it, fine. We should have had Mourinho. David Moyes took that team the next season to the quarterfinals of the European Cup. Mourinho would have won it, wouldn't he? And maybe there's something about Fergie wouldn't have liked that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how much of this is apocryphal tales or stuff, but I just love those little stories of David Moyes taking Rio Ferdinand to one side on the ground and going, "This is how Phil Jagielka would have done." What? Yeah, it's kind of like, and it's been a little bit disappointing since then. So obviously, Moyes didn't last that long, and I wasn't disappointed to see him go. I don't like the way I still feel these things quite keenly. I feel, and I don't think I've ever been able to sort of talk about. I don't think I've ever thought to say this out loud, but I feel that even though Man United are this kind of global entity with leveraged debt and fans in Nigeria and all that kind of stuff, at the heart of them, they're still my football club. They're still rooted in community. They're still, even though they are this, what we call it, huge thing. Like in lockdown, they phoned every season ticket holder to check in on them. The stuff they do when it gets cold, they open warm rooms up for local families. The stuff that they do in the community, they found. So that stuff still goes on, and it's still. And I've been lucky enough to work at the ground sometimes doing things. I try and avoid doing match day stuff because I don't want to be like mixing fun and fun, misery and business. But when I've done stuff there, it's such a welcoming place. It still feels like a family club. And we talk about football clubs like they're these kind of massive, huge things, and they're actually quite, on the grand scheme, quite small businesses day to day. On match days, hundreds of people work there, but during the week, away from the training ground as well, there's not many people bobbing about, maintenance people, things like that. And it's just, and I kind of, so the point I was making is so that when they sack a manager or when a manager goes or when a manager's under pressure, I always think, like, what does he do when he goes home and his kids are there and they don't want me anymore? I mean, and I know they get the recompense and everything else, but it's still a human thing. So Moyes goes, and I wasn't disappointed. I wasn't.
I think that's a perfect place to stop for a couple of ads, and we'll be back in a minute.
Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
Whether your business has 6 floors or 6 employees, Walmart Business has everything you need to save time, money, and hassle. You can restock your break room with bulk ordering or bulk up your ordering team with shared payments. And you can get it all delivered straight to your business's door, whether that's on Wall Street or Main Street. Walmart Business. It's the Walmart you love, now for your business. Learn more at business.walmart.com.
Petivity knows every pet has a story. Why is my dog's digestion off?
Could I have known sooner that my cat was sick?
Petivity is reimagining pet care to care more proactively for the pets you love. Petivity's smart products and health kits give you data your pet can't share, so you can provide the best care possible. Give your pet the story they deserve with Petivity. Visit PETIVITY.com to learn more. Petivity, powered by Purina.
And welcome back to Howie the podcast. And we finished talking about David Moyes, Justin, but just about whoever's taken over since then. Because I was just reading something that Wayne Rooney said this week. Because
again.
And do you think one of the factors, you've got Gary Neville, Wayne Rooney, Roy Keane, Paul Scholes, they were constantly on talking about the negatives at Manchester United and how crap it is compared to what it was at Fergie. Is that part of it?
And the parallels between Liverpool's sort of years in the wilderness and every single successful Liverpool player was a pundit. Your Lawrensons and everybody was there or thereabouts, weren't they? Alan Hansen, they were all on the TV. So maybe there is something about that, and the pressure as that is. I sometimes think it annoys me a little bit that your heroes are, and especially the local ones that are fans.
Mm.
You know, if you're a fan of United and then you're slagging the team off, I don't know. It's all a little bit, because I always think of them as still being those young kids running around. It's all a bit kind of like your ma, innit? Your da. It's all a bit like, I'm not in RJ. You know, I'm sick of hearing what the gaffer wouldn't have put up with. I'm sick of, Rio Ferdinand goes, the gaffer wouldn't have done that. We wouldn't have been able to murk it. All that kind of stuff. Football's changed. It's a different beast now. And it's a real different. And I don't know how Fergie would have. He wouldn't be the manager he was now. 3-year projects, adaptability, everything else. It's all part of that. I mean, I look and I think about, managers now. There are very few older managers. It's a younger profession than it's been for a long time. Hardly any British managers in the Premier League. I just think about, and I know you're massively fond of Peter Reid, aren't you? Still,
Yes.
Still a hero, but like he's not outwitting anybody, is he? On the tactics board, it's all gumption, and it's all fire and brim. It's all like, come on,
try harder.
It is a bit like that, And the stories of him and Adrian Heath, the legend, aren't they?
Yes.
The sort of nights out and the evenings out and the days and the mornings out and everything else, and who's taking training today in that story. So I think that sort of has changed now, and we're seeing that at United, where I think this now, where we talk about Ruben Amorim's system, and whether that is 5-2-3 or 3-5-2, whatever you want to call this system, what it is. There's a lot of talk at the moment from those ITKs. I love the in the know people. That it's not necessarily just his system. That's a system now that the football department at the football club, which is, people say this all the time now, don't they? They always say the football club. The football department at the club have decided this is the way we're going to play. And if that's the way we're going to play, that's the way the academy is going to play, and the under 21s, and that's the way we're going to play. So then they went and got a manager to play like this. And so when he says he's wedded to his system, what he's saying is to the fans and to the board is, I am believing in what we're all doing together. This is the kind of thing. But I have to tell you, mate, it's absolute dog shit.
Yeah.
It's the worst football I've seen for some time. And it's just, it's so easy to spot what we're doing. And I don't know enough about football to have amazing insight and all that. But as a fan watching it, I think to myself, if you're going to play like that, and if you're going to have times where there's only going to be 2 in midfield, you're going to get exposed. Everyone's got to be doing their job. Everyone's got to be working hard. Everyone's got to be up and down. Those wing backs have got to be up and down the pitch. And if anyone fails, if anything goes wrong in that system, the whole thing falls apart. And we've got some players that, man, Diego Dallo, fuck, if someone sneezes, he high-fives him. He high-fives people more than he passes the ball. He has an XHF. He's expected high fives in the game. There's some lads who sit near me and they run a book on it.
But you've gone on about the formations there, and I was watching the highlights against Brentford.
Yeah.
But
highlights.
The
highlights.
Yeah. Well, for Brentford fans anyway. But you can play any formation he likes. But if Maguire's trying to play offside on the halfway line and gets it wrong, that's not about formations, though, is it?
It was like a gazelle was running towards him, and Maguire's a Shire horse, and he thinks, I'll outfoot this guy. And it's just, and it was like, cause I was at the end where they scored. I was like at the game on Saturday, and as he went in, I just went, of course that was offside, because just looking at it with the naked eye, he was about 30 yards offside. He just wasn't. He was just running. He was just bad.
Well, Maguire charged forward. He ran 10 yards forward.
Step out
before he turned round.
Well, it's just, I don't know. I mean, it's just, I thought I'd got over this yesterday because we record our podcast the day after the game, and what's nice is we always have somebody on, like what we call the away end, somebody from the opposition, and it's so nice, especially when you get beat, because they don't tend to crow, but they're there full of joy because they beat you and everything else. It's kind of okay. And what's been good, because it's not been great this season again, it's been nice just to kind of get it out of your system and just move on.
Yeah.
And now I'm talking about it again, and I just want to forget about it.
Well, you talked about not being great this season, but what were the expectations when things kicked off? Because 3 players for over 70 million, 200 million, which came out of nowhere because everyone thought Man United were skinned. But came out 200 million spent, 3 players over 70 million, with the fans kind of thinking, oh, actually, we can do something this year.
Well, there's also the idea of getting what was perceived to be the bad apples out of the squad and out of the dressing room. That was the thing. It wasn't so much about getting players in. It was more about some of the players that were hanging around in a bit of a bad stench. So everyone was quite happy about that. I mean, there's a kind of, I'm hugely disappointed about Marcus Rashford not being a Man United player because he's just a Man United fan. He's from down there, he's from Wythenshawe, and I just find it dead sad that for whatever reason, I don't know what the reason. I don't know what the reason is. So that makes me sad that he's not there. I think finally Jim Ratcliffe. I mean, who would have thought the billionaire oil oligarch would prove to be ruthless at running a business? Where we didn't see this one coming when Mr. Burns took over. Who'd have thought? The megalomaniac, environmental disaster that is a secretive billionaire who lives in a tax haven would make some unpopular decisions. But they seem to have got rid of what they wanted to get rid of and balance the books and everything else. And Brian Mbeumo is amazing. He's not had a bad game for us. He's fantastic. And apparently he's a brilliant person as well. And everybody loves him. Sesko, I mean, he's playing a bit like he works at Tesco. Never mind Sesko at a minute, but he scored at the weekend. And it's one of them as well. Like, I could be one of them Mundial wankers and go, yeah, I've been watching him for quite some time now. I followed him in the Austrian second Bundesliga. And when he first broke through in the, on the under-21s tournament in Rochefort, and people love this, don't they? But what I've seen of him on YouTube, he likes to get a shot away. I like that about him. He don't fanny about. He just gets them off there, gets the shots off. Rasmus Højlund was a kind of disaster, for him, for us, wrong player, loads of money, and do you know the heartbreaking thing as well is he is a United fan,
Is he? I didn't actually know that.
Of course he is. He's from Scandinavia, But when you see them like in his United kit when he's little and all that sort of thing, so he's and Scott McTominay going, that was another heartbreaker. Some of these feel like they are the heartbeat of the club, and it's kind of been a bit of a disappointment for us. But then Anthony, I mean, it's not his fault. He didn't set the price. Spent all that much money and then just played him on the other side. Left-footed on the right side, right foot on the left side. This is the way we're doing it. What I don't understand. Again, what do I know?
Well, yeah, but just on that, because you looked at but just specifically the Brentford game, but you could point to any game this season. You're saying, what do you know? But you know that it's not sensible to change a player's position 3 times in 20 minutes in the same game. So it just seems like, although you can point to formations and maybe, he did got the starting 11 wrong, it seems like Amarin's just tinkering and messing with things to the point where you think, does he really know what he's doing? And that's coming from the outside, not a United.
He's, this idea as well that I think it's 49 games he's been in charge and he's substituted a centre-half 42 times out of 49.
Yeah, I saw that.
Every week we go, he's replacing Maguire with Yup, but we need a goal. We don't,
Yeah, but Maguire goes up front, doesn't he?
That's it as well. Maguire goes off and he's actually a goal threat. I still believe a little bit. I don't know. We talked on our podcast this week about the definition of insanity is, trying the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. And we're like that as fans, and the club are like that with managers, and the managers are like that with formations, and the players are like that with the way they pass the ball. It could be that something clicks. It could be that it all comes together on Saturday, and high-flying Sunderland are put to the sword by the underdogs, Man United.
Well, is it a lazy thing to say because we're clutching at straws going to Old Trafford? We've only won twice there since 1968. But is it lazy to say that it's a good time to be playing Man United?
I think it's a good season to be playing Man United. I mean, you say you've only beat us twice since 1968. You spent a lot of time not in the league as well, haven't you?
Yeah. We haven't played you a huge amount of times.
Yeah. But them statistics are always as Mike Summerby, former father of former Sunderland legend Nicky, once said after a Manchester derby, "I don't believe in statistics."
Yeah.
Do you not, Mike? He does not believe in statistics. I like that. He doesn't believe. I don't believe in facts. I'm not accepting that. I'm not accepting facts. He was an early adopter of the sort of MAGA approach to facts. I don't know, mate. I mean, I said before the Brentford game, and now I look back at what I said and I feel so embarrassed having said it. I felt like we were a game away from absolutely murdering somebody. Because when it does go well and we look exciting up front, then somebody could be in for a pasting. Could be you. This is what I've got now.
I think Sunderland fans throughout the years would just expect it when we go there. I mean, if you kind of got a gut feeling on which Man United are going to turn up, and if the wrong one turns up and Sunderland frustrate you for a bit, do you think it could get toxic in the stands?
It's not even that you frustrate us. What will happen is if it goes wrong for us, you'll score. We'll dominate for 20 minutes, and then you'll counter and you'll score, and people get angry, and then we might get one back, and then we'll struggle to score again. And that's been the kind of story of the season of not scoring first, having to come back, showing the guile and the kind of fortitude to do that, and then just let it all just piss away. But, and this is like straw clutching at all times, 6 games in, before the Brentford game, our expected...
Oh, here we go. I don't believe in statistics. I don't know what I've told you.
We apparently had the hardest 5-game start of any team because we had to play Chelsea and Arsenal. We had some,
Man City.
And then now after this, we've got you, which on paper, before the season, you'd have gone recently promoted Sunderland at Old Trafford. You probably would have had that as your banker on the coupon. You probably would have expected, even with United being poor last season, but with the promise that we got, that we would probably beat you. Now, you're in form. And then we've got Liverpool after that.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, is the pressure not huge for Man United to get 3 points against us?
I mean, the pressure was... I mean, this is what we're talking about. The big task is for us to win 2 games in a row. You've seen this guy going around, haven't you? Said he won't get his hair cut until we win 5 in a row.
Yeah.
Mate, you're going to be like a wizard. He's going to start his own glam rock band. He's going to be on the floor. It's going to look like an Indian guru. He's going to be just like... did you see the story? Somebody attacked him in this fucking... Honestly.
It was at the game as well, wasn't it?
Wanker.
It was supposedly a United fan.
Yeah, a bald man.
Yeah, what's up? I didn't realise.
An angry bald man attacks man for growing hair. That's
the irony.
Yeah, I mean, loads of people who go football are idiots, aren't they? Just toxic. I thought, I have to kind of keep my mouth shut a little bit because I've got a level of profile, and you don't want to, I've done it before. I've had road rage. Told a woman to shut her fat mouth through the window. And she went, "Shut your own fat mouth, you fat mouth bastard, Justin Moorhouse." Oh, sorry, I forget that people know who I am. I just got a little bit because she was being stupid. So I've been Wolves last season. Was it box? We played Wolves Boxing Day. Have you been to Wolves?
Yeah, a while back, but yeah, I've been
it's the worst away section, isn't it? All on one.
I don't know. You want to be in League One for a few years. To be fair. You want to be in League One for a few years.
Yeah, I understand that. But I mean, in the Premier League, that kind of, but they put you all in the side. It's just weird. And there was a bloke. What I liked about the Wolves game, we got beat, but what was nice was, like, I'm vegan, which is bizarre. I know people think that about me. They had a vegan pie in the snack bar, and they also did 0 Guinness. I mean, just woke nonsense gone mad, isn't it, at football? But there was a guy behind me, and he was just, going to town. I mean, clearly had issues in his life with other things. And he was going on about the players, and everyone was getting a bit sick of him, and people were saying, all right. And then he started getting a little bit kind of calling people retards. Then he was being a bit homophobic, and it was all a bit like kind of, and I, because I can't stop myself because I'm an idiot, was having a word. And I went, why don't you just be racist as well, mate? Why don't you go for the full thing? He fucking lost. I thought he was going to batter me. Why am I being racist? And then I realised he was surrounded by loads of black guys, and I thought he's going to get his head seen. He probably thought I was calling him. What are you calling me racist? I said, I didn't call you racist. I just said, you've been disableist, you've been homophobic, everything. It was just, I don't find that. It's so disappointing that. And I'm not one for the sanitization of the game, and I do like the industrial language. I don't mind the earthiness, and I like the rawness of football. And I think we lose that sometimes, but sometimes cocaine and other things are a problem with football.
I think it's felt worse since COVID. I don't know why.
Well, we found it in comedy, mate. People have forgotten how to behave. People in that year or so of not going out forgot how to behave in public and to be around people. And now the entitlement that people have because they're on a night out is beyond sometimes.
Yeah. And then, of course, England hosted a big tournament straight after everyone was let out, which was good timing, of course, wasn't it?
Great documentary, that, isn't it?
Yeah. But I realise we've kept you way over time, Justin.
Okay,
apologies. But just to finish us, again, we mentioned it earlier on, but you're in Stockton on Saturday, so you'll be in good company if you're celebrating a United win over Sunderland.
But this is the thing as well. The irony is, I'm missing the game Saturday because I've got to go to the Northeast. I mean, do you call Stockton the Northeast? Are they getting that? Are they allowed?
We tend to think it's North Yorkshire, to be honest.
Yeah,
they don't like it, but they have to put up with it.
So I'll be. So what I'll need to do is I'll miss the game, and what I'll be doing because I can't obviously watch it at 3:00.
Yeah.
So what I'll be doing I'll be not knowing the result. I'll be likely lads in it, and what I'll do is I'll get home, and at midnight I'll be able to watch the full game on MUTV, so I'll not know the result till 1:30, 2:00 in the morning. But what do you reckon? Are you confident?
It'd be like winning a cup if we take a point at the minute away from home anywhere. Because our only defeat was Burnley away.
Yeah.
So any point away from home.
Burnley are easy. We smashed Burnley, mate.
Well, yeah, but we had them on their first home game of the season, and everyone was up for it, and we couldn't have played them at a worse time. But then we went to Palace. We were brilliant, and last time out against Forest, we were fantastic.
Yeah, amazing.
So
yeah. Let me ask you a couple of questions, if I may. What do you think about Man United? What's your Sunderland view of Man United?
A complete mess.
Yeah. I don't mean currently. We all know the shit at the minute. But what's your of Manchester United Football Club? What's your overall?
It's a complete institution. I mean, I grew up with Brian Robson, and the kind of start of the Fergie years where he really got going. My first cup final that I sat and watched with my dad was the Man United Palace.
Yeah.
Cup final,
1990,
with Ian Wright and then Lee Martin in the replay and all that sort of stuff.
Your dad didn't piss on your back, did he, off a bunk bed?
No, fortunately not.
I hope you keep that bit in, otherwise that would be a really weird reference. But complete institution. And in the we do an on this week, and we talked about epics that Sunderland had with Man United in the 60s. There was one where we played Man United 3 times. Yeah,
Bobby Charlton actually had a chapter in his autobiography about saying that was one of the best games he ever took part in against Sunderland. But no, I mean, Manchester United, there's an aura, isn't there? I remember you talked earlier on about the Fergie years, and Manchester United used to beat people before kickoff.
Yeah.
The game was just because it was Manchester United and the badge and what the red shirt kind of represented, and you've got the whole, the Munich clock and the history behind the club and, and all of that. And it's just, and actually it's one of really, you look at how big the Premier League is, and Man United are probably the biggest driver to where the Premier League is now because of not just what they did during that era, but because of the history they brought into it. Because the Premier League's on the back of 100 years worth of history.
Yeah.
And Man United are right at the forefront of that. And
bringing that, they're the crossover, aren't they? Definitely.
And it's a sad thing in some ways that Man United are down there. Because I always remember, like, when I was young, people used to go, oh, Man United, they just win every year. It gets a bit boring. But I was always, when I was young, I was like, well, no, I mean, look, it's up to everyone. If they're the best, it's up to everyone else to beat them. So if they're at the top every year, who cares? That if they're the best, they're the best. Doesn't matter if you want, why bother with different teams? You're watching the best side. But no, I mean, I just think Man United's just a huge institution that it's interesting listening to you because you can see the club and see this institution being run in a way where even people like myself who really know nothing about the inner workings of football, I'm shaking my head going, I haven't got a clue how they're doing that to an institution like Manchester United.
It's mad, isn't it? It's mad. I often talk to fans of other clubs and, reasonably minded people like yourselves. And I'm interested because are you going to the game on Saturday yourself? Will you get there?
I'm not. No. Kids and all that. And not being able to get tickets.
But Sunderland are one of them teams that when they come to Old Trafford, they make a lot of noise and, sell all the tickets, and it's a proper game. Yeah, it's a good game. And I know that United's away support is always kind of respected, and they go for it and everything else. I just wondered what you thought of the sort of like experience of going to Old Trafford was like that for an away fan. What's it like?
Well, I mean, obviously we haven't been for quite a few years, and we always experience getting beat. But I always remember, and you'd mentioned Peter Reid. We played you in the FA Cup in Peter Reid's years, and we were that close to knocking you out at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
And it was a last, I think Cantona scored a header or something in the last couple of minutes. But we were getting beaten. We went 2-1 up. Craig Russell and Steve Agnew scored. And we played in our yellow shirts, and it was one of them that, and I just remember it was crazy at the time because we hadn't been in the top flight for a good few years before that, and to play Manchester United and be that close to beating you, and I remember being absolutely devastated. But it was one of those things that, and for a long time going to Old Trafford for Sunderland, it's like it's a big day out. It's a huge thing. It's a weekend away, and it's a big thing, and it's kind of quite often when you travel to Old Trafford, you go, well, we're going to get beat, so let's just enjoy our
Well, I hope people have a good day, and I hope you get beat. That's the main thing. A big shout out to a couple of my Sunderland fans, mates. My mate Alfie Joey, he's the former breakfast show host on BBC Newcastle. He's a big Sunderland fan. I was talking to him this morning. He said to say hello to you. And I recently did a wedding for a girl called Kate Holmes, who is a huge Sunderland fan, massive Sunderland fan. And she walked. I hosted her wedding for her. I didn't actually do the ceremony because I'm not a vicar or anything, but I did the emceeing. And she walked down the aisle to the din, and then she got halfway, and the record scratched, and Republica came on.
Really?
Yeah. So that was it. She danced her way down the aisle to that. So I know she listens to your pod, and she's a big fan. That's Kate Holmes. Yeah. So hello to her. Anyway, hope the best team. Well, I don't hope the best team wins because that means you'll win. So I hope we win on Saturday. But it's been nice speaking to you.
Yes, and you, and have a cracking weekend, cracking gig in Stockton, and enjoy the rest of your tour, mate.
Thank you very much.
Good stuff. It's been an absolute pleasure. So thanks again, Justin. And remember, go to justinmoorhouse.com or ctickets.com. All the tour dates are there with the links to go and buy your ticket. So make sure you do. Basically. So thanks again for everyone for listening. We have all the build-up and all of the reaction for everything Sunderland related on the Roker Report website, and How We're the Podcast, where another pod should come your way tomorrow. So look out for all of that. But from us, bye for now.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
They got Willa. They got my daughter. I need to find her.
From acclaimed director Paul Thomas Anderson.
You can save that girl.
Today, experience what is being called the best movie of the year.
This is the end of the line. Not for you.
Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, Benicio del Toro, Tiana Taylor, Chase Infinity.
Let's go!
One battle after another. Now playing only in theaters. Experience it in IMAX. Rated R. Under 17 not admitted without parent.
You can't hide.